Hi there, this is Melody with Socksbox, and a common question I get is it possible to record entries in Food Bank Manager that are not being assigned to the guest? Meaning that you have programs that you run that you only take a head count. This could be like backpack programs or soup kitchens, maybe meals in the park, maybe those summer or weekend meals that you send home with children, where you're just taking a head count, but you're not actually giving it to a particular guest. So I want to show you what I call like bulk entries, and I'll walk you through how to set that up, and hopefully that will help you with capturing that data and being able to report it out. So the first thing I have folks do is go to Settings, Tracking Methods. From here, you're just going to create a new tracking method. We don't want to use the normal tracking methods that you use. So if you have a tracking method such as food and it's food that you're giving out, because what happens in those bulk entries is you do have to use a guest, and that guest then would be applied to your food counts, and that's kind of like adding apples and oranges together. You don't necessarily want to do that. You can get your food counts and then get your bulk food counts and then add them after the fact if that's what you still need to do. I have already created a bulk entry. I'm going to go ahead and edit this one. So first, just know I've called mine bulk here, but you can rename this, farmer's market or backpack program, whatever the program is that you're trying to track in bulk entries. That's what you're going to name it. You're going to make sure your status is set to show. And then times per period, I would just set up as 1, 1, and days. This allows you to use this whenever you need to and not have that exceeds uses pop up on you, because you will be using a guest, so it could be, still exceeds uses if you have a minimum in here that you put in. Everything else really doesn't apply. So from track by all the way down through here, you don't really need to answer. Again, it's not the normal way of tracking things through the system, so those things really aren't going to come into play. You do need to make sure this will come checked or not checked. Make sure it's checked. This is the location access. And then the advanced create visit history here, we have this per period. This is for the new visit side. So again, we are going to create a guest like maybe farmer's market or something today. And under manage guest, I would see all the bulk entries that I ever put in under that program. But from the new visit side, how much data do you want to see at any given time? I have mine set to 12 months, but maybe you just want to see 3 months or 5 years. It's totally up to you. You go ahead and put in that range and then save the tracking method. So now our bulk tracking method is ready. And again, maybe this will be your farmer's market or something like that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Settings, Custom Fields, Visit. Again, we have a gold key with a link next to it. This is where you're going to create the fields that you are answering for your bulk program. So maybe you're saying how many households, or maybe you do actually get information of like age breakdown. So how many children, how many adults, that type of thing. Maybe there's other questions that you ask where you're just taking a count. Or even yes, no's, whatever you need to do, you just create that field. Now, most folks that I work with are just taking counts of something, so your field type would be a number field. And I have set up a few number fields, and we'll show those to you. Of course, you're going to name it, you're going to have a number field, and you're going to, check the help desired, which is your tracking method that goes along with this question. You'll also have your group and status down here. Whatever this defaults to the bottom for you, or whatever you normally set this this answer to, is fine. And then always just making sure that your status is set to show so that you actually see this field. So I'll show you the ones that I set up. So I put in 3. I have number of households. Maybe it's just as simple as that. We just need to know how many households picked up whatever item this was for the program that we're running. I also put in a 0 to 17 and an 18 plus, because maybe you do at least gather that type of information, like how many children, how many adults in the households, so that you can keep some kind of running number that does go along with your normal distribution. So I have these 3, and again, you can create as many as you need. Next, I'm going to go to Manage On-Demand Outreaches. If you use templates, you can set it up there. I'm going to use the on-demand for this video. I have already put in a bulk visit input. You can create yours by clicking on the link next to the gold key. I'm going to edit this one and show you what I've done. So I've given it a name. I also created, I gave it a silver color so it doesn't look like my normal blue or something on the calendar. It makes this outreach stand out a little different than the other ones. Then I checked bulk, and I'm making sure my status is set to show. This information in the middle here is for the reservation system. So again, it's not needed. You can put in your start and end times if you'd like to, but again, unless you're using reservations for this, which for bulk entries you probably wouldn't be, this information in the middle is just really not going to apply to these types of distributions. So once I have my tracking method, my custom fields that I'm going to need to answer, and it's all set up in the outreach, all I need to do is make my guest still. So we're going to create a new guest, and in today's video here, I'm just going to make one for farmers market. And this is something we just offer. Folks can come pick up their food, but we don't actually get their names. We don't get any data about them, but we do want to know that, they took produce home. So I suggest putting first and last name as the same name. So farmers market. This makes it so that regardless of how you search under your new visit tab, you can find it under farmers, you can find it under markets, and it doesn't matter if you're in the first name field or the last name field. Now I'm going to hit save here real quick just to show you what I have going on, because you may have this as well. These are the fields that I also have set to required, and none of these fields are really going to apply to farmers market. So, but I do need to fill them in. So I'm always just going to put a 1 for my bulk. So I have my total individuals. And then, I could put in our zip code or something like that. And then a date of birth. I mean, it really doesn't matter. But because I have it required for my normal guest, you are going to have to put something in for those. Now, again, that's not what you're reporting out, so it doesn't really, won't really apply in any of your reporting. So don't hesitate to do this kind of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and save, and now I have farmers market. And if I note, they are guest ID number 80. So if you are someone who does search by the guest ID, then you can just, make note of that and just be able to search by 80 when you pull them up. Or again, you can search by, just the name. So the next thing would be to go to the new visit. You're going to select the outreach you've made. So here's my bulk one. I'm going to look for my guests. Now my system is set up to search by guest ID. I know they are guest ID number 80. So when I do 80 tab, here's my farmers market. Maybe yours doesn't have guest ID out front, but it has first name. So if I just tab through and act like I don't have a guest ID, I can put in, FAR and still come up with them. I can also do MAR for market and still come up with them. So I also have MAR and a couple of other guests, but they're here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on them, and this is just like giving your regular visit. So this part you're probably familiar with. So I'm going to check that this is a bulk visit, and now I'm going to fill in that information that I had for my number of households. So I'm going to say 100 here. I'm going to say that in those 100 households, we had 120 children and we had 90 adults, something like that. And then I'm going to save. Now when I save, mine saves and close, and I want you to note that I actually have put in another bulk entry in here today, just so reporting I can show you how that kind of works out. So I did create one as well for my soup kitchen, and I put in, that I had 150 households, 89 children, 76 adults. So I have 2 entries for my bulk, and now I'm going to go ahead to reports, outreach aggregate. I'm going to change my date to today, or at least this month here, because we do default this report to last month. So I'm just going to click this month. So now that I have my September dates in there, I'm going to go to tracking method, choose that tracking method that you're reporting. Now again, if you have multiple bulks like I've just done, one for soup kitchen, one for farmers market, if the bulk entries just all count together, you can have the one like I have here. But maybe you actually want to report them out separately, then you would just have multiple tracking methods. One would be called soup kitchen and one would be called farmers market. And then when you come to here, you just choose the one that you're wanting to report out those numbers for the time period that you're looking at. I have 2 within this bulk now. I am going to do total so that it actually adds all my bulk numbers together to give me my numbers that I'm trying to collect. And then I'm going to go to the sum count by. These are the guest fields. I'm going to go down to the visit fields, which start here. And I did have my 0 to 17, my 18 plus, and then I also had my number of households. So I'm going to check that one. So now I'm reporting the 3 fields that I set up as visit questions, and then this could be just bulk entries, something like that, because I have more than one now. Not entries. There we go. Or nope, maybe it is just going to be that today. And then maybe I would actually I encourage people to add the date up front, whatever that looks like, so that when you are looking at report history, you can actually see the date that you might be working with in this aggregate report. And I'll give you an example of that while it's running. So if I look at report history and we kind of look at my, reports that I've reported in the past, I can see that this one was for July, this one was for August, this one was for September. This is that my soup kitchen that I have already run today. So even looking at just that one, you will see this report gives us number of household visits. Here's my 2 age breakdown ones, and then here's my number of households. So it is reporting out that I had 150 in that one, those 89 children, and those 76 adults. This first column here is always just part of this report, and in the case of bulk entries, it really doesn't apply. What this number is going to be is how many bulk transactions did you put into the system. So if you pulled up bulk on, September 6th like I did today, and then you pulled up bulk again on, September 15th, and you put some more entries in there, these are going to slowly, go along with just how many entries did you put in the system. That's what this column is going to mean for you when you're running bulk. Now, when we look at report history at this other one that's still in progress, we'll go ahead and just pull it up. It's actually done. We now have 2, because you'll remember I had one for farmers market and one for soup kitchen. So this lets me know I've put in 2 entries for bulk this month. It's not necessarily number of households. It's 2 entries when you're working with bulk. And then it's added up those 2 that I had. So this is my numbers added up for both my soup kitchen and my farmers market. Now for you, you might just be running only your farmers markets and you'll get your counts, and then only your soup kitchen and you get your counts. So that's how that reports out. So I hope this has been helpful, and just let me know, reach out to me if you have any additional questions. Thank you.